Okay, I'd like to invite the Chief Scientist of Homeland Security to the stage just to give us a few closing remarks.
So I'll do this a little revival style since I'm like from the South, right, and move around a little bit, you know. So I'll point over here, I'll point over there. I'll try to make sure everybody can see me a little bit. This morning, Gina asked me to kind of synthesize what we heard yesterday and today, and I'll start by saying, like, whew, my brain is full, right? Even now, I feel kind of like a computer that's had too many patches downloaded at once, and it all hasn't parsed correctly into the firmware yet. So, and maybe to some degree that's a good thing, because what I'm going to hopefully do for you in the next like 3 to 5 minutes is actually what people like me in Washington, D.C. have to do all the time, right? Which is take a lot of very technical, very complex information and synthesize it down into something that is digestible and hopefully understandable by people that are even further removed from the scientific enterprise than I am. So, you know, I think that I was introduced as a chemist, but let me show you how further removed I am from social science just here in my last couple of minutes. One, I've never taken a social science class ever. Probably the only disciplinary fields that we have overlapped in are probably somewhere in statistics. And in fact, in chemistry, I am what you would probably call a super nerd because I actually focus on metrology, which is the study of measurements. So you're going to hear a little bit of a bias when I talk about the things that I think were interesting today. And let me make this metaphor for it, right? It's like building a house. As I listen to all of the research that's being done now at NCITE, all that's being proposed, right? It always has to start on a foundation of evidence and data. And that is through great design. The second to the last panel resonated probably the most with me of all of them. And I think it would have been great to hear them at the beginning. And why is that? Because just like Dr. Bader said or Dr. Rottweiler showed, right? Good evidentiary or experimental design is critical for data that can eventually be processed up into policy-making sort of activity. So that's kind of like the foundation of our house. As we build the rest of that, right, the skeleton, the veneer, all those sorts of things, the other things that kind of got me really excited today were the intersection of different fields, right? The use of emerging technologies and how that intersects both the pathways onto terrorism and the pathways off of it, right? The world that we are living in is technologically evolving at a pace that is impossible for any one person to understand, and probably even large groups of people. And yet our adversaries, right, are using those technologies to become more adroit and to lower the activation energy for those who have ever had a chemistry kind of experience, right? So I think that that's the thing that kind of excited me a lot. And then lastly, but certainly not least, was the aspect of the final panel that dealt with the people, right? Whether you're a PI, whether you're a student. We have to remember that all of the work that NCITE is doing really is for the future. It's to address the problem of today and the problem of tomorrow. Now, if I didn't mention your project, it's not because it's not important. It's probably because my brain's full still, and it's chugging through. But I'll say that as somebody who is on the outside looking in, I am astounded by the work that you are doing. It is very hard. It's very complex, right? It is dealing with people. And I applaud all of you for the work that you're doing, for the people that you're training, and for the time that you've taken here today. So thank you very much for the opportunity to provide some closing remarks.